I'm Rosa. Standing here on the stage, holding the International Vision Award, I feel a sense of calm that I've never experienced before. The room is filled with applause, but my mind drifts back to the journey that led me here. It all started on a seemingly ordinary morning. I was sitting in my studio, surrounded by stacks of glossy prints, just like any other day. The light was pouring in through the window, casting a warm glow over the hardwood floor. I was squinting at the contact sheets, searching for that perfect shot, that one image that could capture the essence of a wedding. My phone rang, and the screen lit up with my mother's name. I hesitated for a moment, a habit I'd developed over the years. I took a deep breath and answered the call. "Hi, Mom," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "Rosa," my mother's voice came through the phone, sharp and clipped. "We need to talk about your sister Maya's wedding." I felt a pang of excitement. I had been looking forward to photographing Maya's big day. I had so many ideas, so many ways to capture the beauty and emotion of the moment. But then my mother's words hit me like a ton of bricks. "You'll ruin your sister's wedding," she said. "Don't come." I felt like the world had stopped spinning. I stared at the phone in disbelief, my mind racing. I tried to reason with her, to tell her that I could help, that I had photographed over 200 weddings and knew what I was doing. But she wouldn't listen. "Your presence would be distracting," she said. "Let your sister have her moment. Think of your absence as a gift." The word gift echoed in my mind, a reminder of all the times I had been made to feel small, to shrink myself to fit into my family's expectations. I felt a lump in my throat, but I refused to let myself cry. I ended the call and sat there in silence, surrounded by the wreckage of my dreams. That's when my boyfriend, Leo, walked in. He saw the look on my face and knew something was wrong. He sat down beside me and listened as I poured out my heart, telling him about my mother's words, about all the times I had been made to feel like I didn't belong. "They've done this your entire life," he said, his voice gentle but firm. "It's not right." I looked at him, my eyes filled with tears. "What can I do?" I asked. He reached for my hand and looked into my eyes. "What if generosity isn't subtracting yourself?" he said. "What if it's about standing up for who you are, about refusing to be hidden?" His words hit me like a lightning bolt. I realized that I had been living my life according to other people's rules, that I had been afraid to shine. But I didn't want to be afraid anymore. I wanted to be myself, to embrace my light. I picked up my phone and called my mother. "Mom," I said, my voice steady. "Leo and I are getting married." There was a moment of silence on the other end of the line. Then my mother's voice came through, cold and angry. "You can't be serious," she said. "Do you have any idea how hard Maya is working on her wedding? This will devastate her." I took a deep breath and said, "I'm not asking for your permission, Mom. I'm just letting you know. This isn't about Maya. It's about my life." My mother's voice grew louder. "You're being selfish," she said. "You're trying to upstage your sister." I closed my eyes and said, "I'm not upstaging anyone, Mom. I'm just existing." I ended the call and sat there for a moment, feeling a sense of relief. I had finally stood up for myself, had finally refused to be silenced. Over the next few days, I started to plan my wedding. Leo and I found a beautiful villa on the Amalfi Coast, a place where we could have a small, intimate ceremony surrounded by the people we loved. We started to make arrangements, to think about the details, to dream about our future. But my family didn't make it easy. They bombarded me with messages, with guilt trips, with threats. They tried to convince me to cancel the wedding, to put Maya's happiness above my own. But I refused to back down. I knew that this was my chance to finally be myself, to finally live the life that I wanted. The day before our wedding, we arrived at the villa. The moment I stepped onto the terrace, I was struck by the beauty of the place. The sea was a deep blue, the sky was a brilliant orange, and the air was filled with the scent of jasmine. It was like a dream come true. The next morning, I woke up before sunrise. I could hear the sound of the waves crashing against the shore, the sound of the birds singing in the trees. I got out of bed and walked out onto the balcony, taking in the view. I felt a sense of peace, a sense of calm. I looked out at the sea and thought about all the things that had led me to this moment. I thought about the pain, the heartbreak, the struggles. But I also thought about the love, the support, the hope. I realized that all of those things had made me who I was, had made me stronger, had made me more resilient. I heard a noise behind me and turned to see Leo standing there. He walked over to me and put his arm around my shoulders. "Are you ready?" he asked. I looked at him and smiled. "Yes," I said. "I'm ready." We walked down to the terrace, where our guests were waiting. The sun was just starting to rise, casting a warm glow over the sea. The music started to play, and I walked down the aisle, my heart pounding. When I reached the altar, I looked into Leo's eyes. I saw the love, the passion, the commitment. I knew that this was the man I wanted to spend the rest of my life with. The ceremony was beautiful, filled with love and joy. We exchanged our vows, promising to love and support each other for the rest of our lives. When the officiant said, "You may kiss," I felt a rush of emotion. I leaned in and kissed Leo, feeling the warmth of his lips, the strength of his embrace. After the ceremony, we had a reception on the terrace. The sun was setting, casting a golden glow over the sea. The music was playing, the guests were dancing, and the air was filled with laughter and happiness. I looked around at the people I loved, at the beauty of the place, at the love that surrounded me. I realized that this was what life was all about, that this was what I had been searching for. As the night went on, I couldn't help but think about my family. I knew that they were still angry, that they were still trying to control me. But I didn't care. I had finally found my own light, had finally learned to stand tall. The next morning, I woke up to the sound of my phone buzzing. I picked it up and saw that I had received a message from Maya. "I hope your wedding was everything you dreamed of," she wrote. "I'm sorry for the way I've treated you. I realize now that I've been wrong." I read the message and felt a sense of relief. I knew that it wasn't going to be easy, that there were still going to be challenges ahead. But I also knew that I had the support of the people I loved, that I had the strength to face whatever came my way. Over the next few months, my wedding photo went viral. It was shared on social media, featured in magazines, and even won an award. People were drawn to the authenticity, the emotion, the beauty of the image. They saw themselves in it, saw the love, the hope, the possibility. I started to receive messages from people all over the world, telling me how my story had inspired them, how it had given them the courage to be themselves. I realized that my wedding wasn't just about me and Leo. It was about something bigger, about the power of love, about the importance of standing up for what you believe in. I also started to think about the future. I wanted to use my platform to help other people, to give them the support and the resources they needed to follow their dreams. I started to plan a foundation, a place where young photographers could come together, where they could learn, where they could grow. As I look back on that journey, I realized that it wasn't easy. There were times when I wanted to give up, when I felt like I couldn't go on. But I didn't. I kept going, I kept fighting, I kept believing. And now, standing here on the stage, holding the International Vision Award, I know that all of that struggle was worth it. I know that I've finally found my place in the world, that I've finally learned to stand tall, to shine my light. I look out at the audience and see the faces of the people who have supported me, who have believed in me. I see the faces of the people who have been inspired by my story. I know that this is just the beginning, that there are still so many things to do, so many people to help. But for now, I'm going to enjoy this moment. I'm going to soak in the love, the support, the joy. I'm going to remember the journey that led me here, the lessons that I've learned, the people who have helped me along the way. And I'm going to keep shining, keep growing, keep inspiring. Because that's what I was born to do.